Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This was going to be part 2 of 4 of the vintage air install on the 74 Firebird. Unfortunately, after doing part 1, I accidentally hit delete instead of upload, and that video was lost. I was just going to document my taking the front end apart to get to this point. If you're wondering why I went this far out to do the vintage air install, where all you need to do is take the radiator out. Couple of reasons. First one is on the nose, the filler panel that goes between the nose and the bumper, that was completely disintegrated. That was a 30-year-old OEM NOS piece that I had found, and in the last couple of years, every time I touched it, a piece broke off. So in order to replace it, you have to take the nose out. So once I took the nose out, I figured this was another time, a good time to look at the core support, since in some of the suspension and chassis videos, you've seen that my driver side tire was hitting the fender, and in the core support bushing install, you saw how bad the core support was. And I decided this is the time we'll take the core support out too at the same time and put a new one in. So this is the old core support that I took out, the original one, and this is the driver's side, and you can see how badly damaged it is here, and you can see there's cracks, and there were attempts made to repair it, but it was okay with stock suspension and tires, but with aftermarket suspension and tires, it just wasn't working. Here's the new one that I got from Ames Performance Engineering up in New Hampshire. It's an aftermarket reproduction, and in the first video that I had, I did all the measurements and everything matched perfectly with the original. The only difference I found is the core support bushing holes are slightly smaller and won't fit the bushings, so I gotta slightly enlarge that, but other than that, everything fits. This was about $459 from Ames, and hats off to them. I ordered it on a Thursday and it showed up on my front door on Saturday, 2 days later. So quick shipping from them. And here are some of the parts that I took off and painted. The pulleys, I took them off and painted. And also, since this car was non-AC, it had the 2-groove pulley at the crank. In order to run AC, you need a 3-groove pulley. You can either buy one from Vintage Air. It's a 3-groove pulley. It's billet aluminum, I think, and it comes with the matching price. Or you can just order a third add-on pulley that goes in the back of the crank, and it's a factory piece. I ordered it, same thing from Ames Performance. If you can see, here's the number, 480509XS, and that's the add-on pulley so it can support the AC system. And I gave everything a quick coat of paint, and now I'm at the point where I'm ready to install. I'm gonna enlarge those 2 core support holes and then put the core support in place, and then put the crank pulley on, and then I got to remove the heater hose because this gets redone with the Vintage Air system, and then the compressor sits here, so I want to do that so I can line up the crank pulley with the AC compressor pulley, and then figure out what size belt I gotta get, and then all the assembly starts. So I'm gonna start with core support, put that on, and start putting the pieces back together. So here we go. After enlarging both core support bushing sleeves, and giving it again a quick coat of paint. Now it's time to put the captured nuts on the new core support. The core support comes bare, so you gotta transfer everything from the old one to the new one if they're in good shape. If not, then you gotta get new hardware. All the ones that I had from the original were in bad shape. It wasn't worth reusing. I ordered a front end bolt kit from Ames Performance. So when they come in, I'll be using the captured nuts and some of the bolts I need to do the job. Even though a lot of the bolts that came out are in decent shape, if I get new ones, I'll use those just to have all new bolts. So it's supposed to show up later on today. What I'm gonna do in the meantime is start assembling the front of the engine. I put the crank pulley with the AC pulley on. So here's the crank pulley installed, 3 grooves. According to the factory service manual, that's a reinforcement plate, that's what they call it. So I decided to put that back on and not go directly on the pulley. Here it says remove crank pulley and reinforcing plate. So I just put that back on, torqued it, and now I'll put the air compressor and see how it's going to line up with the crank pulley. So let's go get the air compressor. So in order to get the compressor mounted, first we have to mount this bracket here, roughly according to this diagram provided with the kit. It says compressor bracket assembly installation without smog pump. And here's the diagram and the bag of bolts they provide. So I'm gonna mount this right now this way, and then we'll move on to the next step. So here's the bracket with the 3 bolts. Okay, so that's roughly how it's gonna look like. And then this bracket will go here to hold the somewhere around here to hold the compressor in place. So give that a shot. Here you can see I mounted the bracket. These are the bolts that hold it, and then we loosely put the compressor in place, and now I can start assembling it. Line up the pulleys, take a measurement on the pulley, should be between 57 and 58 inches for the belt for here, and then we'll continue on. So I got the belt for the AC compressor from O'Reilly's. Vintage Air recommends Gates XL belts. I gave them the number, they gave me their version. I'm gonna try this. If it's not strong enough, I'll replace it, but that's supposed to be the proper length, which should be a little over 57.5 inches. That's what that 575 is for. So let's try it to see if it's gonna go over. So there's that 3rd pulley we installed for the AC. Nope, that's not long enough. So we'll have to get another one. And this is as far as it goes, it hits here. So while I figure out what size belt to get for the AC compressor, since the recommended size didn't fit, I'm gonna install the alternator and power steering bracket. This is one of the bolts that goes through the water pump and holds the bracket in place. It's the original bolt, so it's seen better days. So I went to the local Ace Hardware and got another 3/8 by 16. This is 4-inch long. This one looks like it's like 3 3/4 or something. So I'll add 1 or 2 washers to make up for it, but I gave it a coat of Pontiac blue just to match the rest of the water pump bolts. there's the other one. So I'll just put that bracket in and then see what's at the local O'Reilly for the proper size belt. So we'll continue. The alternator bracket. There's one water pump bolt that holds it here. Another long one holds it here. It's actually worked. I didn't need to put any spacers, so a 3/8 by 16 by 4-inch long bolt will work if this one is corroded. So temporarily put this in. I did order from Summit Racing today a 100 amp alternator just so it can handle the AC, and I did decide to go with the electric fans. So the one that was on it, it was a 63 amp one, which probably would have been okay, but I didn't want to take a chance. And plus I looked at the date code, it looked like it was replaced at some point, so it's not the original alternator. So doesn't matter. I'll put an upgraded one and then we'll continue on. So, and get the measurements for the belt, go down to the local O'Reilly's, order another belt, and then just continue on. Alternator is in. The bolt from the back. This is the toughest part to get in, is the spacer here, and then have to get the bolt through here all the way to the head and lining it up. But it took me a little bit, but it's in. Now I'm gonna put the water pump pulley on and then run the belts. I did find an electric fan setup that I'm gonna buy that fits the radiator perfectly, and a lot of Pontiac guys seem to be using it, so I'll order that one and continue on. And then after I mount the pulley and run the belts, I'll put the core support in and continue on. So with no fan, mechanical fan, the factory water pump pulley bolts are slightly long, so I went down to the local Ace and got slightly shorter 5/16 by 24, 3/4 inch long bolts. They didn't have black, so for now I got these. I might eventually get shorter black bolts and replace them, but for now I'm gonna put these on and continue. After putting the alternator, power steering, everything back on, I mocked up the core support in place. I put in the two Pro Touring F-body core support mounts. They're just loosely in place, and now I'm just gonna tighten them, snug them, not fully tighten, and then start putting all the bolts in. In order to get it in, I had to take those little extensions out on both sides between the inner fender and the core support, just so I can finagle the core support into place. If you have somebody to help you out, great, that'll come in handy. If not, then it is doable in one person. So anyways, I'm gonna tighten those up a little bit and then continue on. So now that the core support is in, the frame to support bushings are in and tight, and the rest of it is just snug, just so I can do final adjustments. Ready finally to start the install of the vintage air system. Over here on the bench, a while ago I had started the assembly of the whatever, this is the condenser. Per the instructions, have this here, and next I'm gonna mount this side bracket, and then this can go in the core support ahead of the radiator. So put the two nuts on to hold the driver side bracket in place, and then let's put this in the car. The instructions call for putting the driver side bracket on the core support first, not on the condenser itself. So that's what I did. And then next it calls for putting this rubber grommet in this hole. So let's put that in. Now that the condenser dryer is installed, the 4 mounting bolts to the core support have to stay a little loose so we can install this line through the grommet here. It's gonna come out like this into this, so we can make the final adjustments and then tighten it. There's another one here that goes out that way, and I think they both go towards the compressor. So let's work on that one. So they tell you to put the grommet in first, but the end is here is so big that will push the grommet out, so you have to redo it again. Once you put the pipe in, you have to put the grommet back in place. So now that's in place, I can tighten this and then tighten the bolts, 4 bolts, and the condenser dryer setup will be fully installed in the car. So we'll continue on. Upper connection, it says to notch the core support a little bit. This is what I needed to do. It's almost like 3/4 inch diameter. I filed it by hand. I haven't painted it so you guys can see how much I notched it. So this hose, this connection, let's see if I can do it better. This connection would sit in here and clear that clear the core support. So I'm gonna oil the O-ring and put that in. Probably gonna put a piece of rubber in that spot there and then continue on. So this is how the pipes come out from the dryer and the condenser. This bigger line, I don't like the way the angle goes straight into this. The number 8 goes into the number 6. So I might just get my pipe bender and just give it a slight bend right here, just so it'll be parallel with the number 6, because it's right into here. There's no way any hose connections are gonna happen here. So I don't know if that's how they're supposed to come from the factory or there was a bend that was missing, but either way, I'm gonna take that back out and bend it just a touch and put it back in. So I just got this tubing bender, does 1/2 inch, which is what this is, and just put a slight kink in this here just to clear it. So let's put this thing on and see how it looks. If you look over here now, they're parallel to each other pretty much, so we're in good shape. So I'm just gonna tighten that and continue on. So all it needed was that slight kink right here, and we're good to go. So I decided to go with electric cooling fan setup. I ended up getting the FlexLight 295 series fan setup. It's 2 13-inch fans, and it's highly recommended by the guys on the Pontiac forums, so that's why I got. So the it's 27 and 7/8 inch wide end to end, and radiator core is 27 and a half, so it's slightly bigger. So I cut the insulation off so it will fit perfectly on the core, which means I can't use the factory shroud anymore. The shroud had, besides its cooling purposes, these 2 tabs locate the lower radiator mounts and the rubber stops, supports. So since I didn't really want to cut up the original shroud, I had to figure out a way. So I made a couple of small brackets to hold the 2 rubber cushions in place. They're spaced exactly where the factory shroud would be. And since there were no holes there on the core support, I drilled a couple of holes each and secured the brackets, and the rubber fits in the bracket. So now I can install the radiator. And also on the top, again, since the shroud located the top of the radiator, I got this piece. It's from a company called Custom Works Performance, and it's made specifically to locate the radiator in the absence of the mechanical fan shroud. And so now that I have everything ready, I'm gonna put the radiator in and continue on with the work. So this is roughly how it's gonna look. I gotta figure out some sort of a bracket to hold the upper portion of the radiator, and then go from there. But this is generally the upper area, how it's gonna hold the upper side. So we'll continue on. The electric fan came with a few 90-degree angle brackets to mount the fan and the radiator. So in addition to the bottom mounts, I used these two 90-degree brackets to mount the radiator to the core. I had to drill a couple of holes on the side of the core and installed quarter 20 bolts. So the radiator now is rock solid, nothing's gonna move this, but still gonna get some rubber strips. And this is the other side. I might even loosen this up and put some rubber in here between the bracket and the radiator, but for now it's in there, and I can move on to installing the electric fan. And I gotta figure out a way to mount that to the radiator, and then we'll continue on. Here's the electric fan setup. In the kit, there were some L brackets that I cut and modified to fit with the closeout panel here. Two of them up top, then I'll go on the bottom and have a couple of them on the bottom, and the fan will be secure. Already ran the power wires from the side, and looks like this is gonna work out awesome. The fit is perfect. I mean, I couldn't get it. The only thing I had to do is cut the side and trim it, and then reinstall the gasket. I had to take the gasket out, cut about 1/4 of an inch off the plastic, and then reinstall the gasket, and it fits as good as it's gonna get. So I'll make the final adjustments and take out those brackets and repaint. I just wanted to see if I can make them fit. I wanted to make it a little harder. I put the brackets from the inside, so when I take out and paint them, I'll reinstall them there, and then I'll put them on the radiator support, so it'll be nice and clean. So I don't have to deal with brackets that stick on the outside. Might even get black bolts, so it'll blend better. So, but for now, looks like this is gonna work. And then next would be, I gotta build a little panel there where the battery is, and mount the fuse relay, and then the relay for the AC. And then eventually I gotta redo the headlights, mount the 2 relays for the headlights there, and move the battery to the trunk. So making progress. So here's the final radiator and fan install. I ended up doing not 2 but 4 brackets, L brackets, two on the bottom, and then another bracket here, this one, and then another one on the other side, and this thing is as solid as a rock. So now that the radiator fan and the radiator are in, I'll put the upper hose back on, and then we'll continue on. I sprayed the two fittings on the transmission for the cooler lines, so I want to replace those. But in the meantime, I gotta put the temperature probe into the radiator. According to the instructions, it's got to go as close to the upper radiator hose as possible. So I'm gonna sneak it in through the opening for the fan, stick that probe in there, and then get the wiring, drill the small hole there to sneak the wiring from there, and then wrap it with this wires for the fans. And then over here is where I'm gonna put that panel. I made that over here. I made this little panel so I can mount the controller, the fuse block, and then I got another junction boxes for the positive and negative when I relocate the battery to the trunk to bring power there, and then the power for the fans and the fuses will come from here. It's all gonna be mounted on this panel here someplace. It's like this almost, roughly. So I'll go sneak in the temp probe and we'll continue on. As we start reassembling the car, this is roughly how I mounted the fan controller, the fuse, and then I'm gonna put the positive distribution block. This is where the main feed to the battery is gonna come to, and then from here is gonna pick this up, and then pick the wire that goes back into the passenger compartment and picks up the fuse panel there. Also, not on this one, but it's gonna be on the other side in front of the car. Someplace around here, I'm gonna mount two relays, and I'm gonna use the power feed that comes from the headlight switch that powers the headlights. I'm gonna use that as a trigger wire to power the two relays to pick up the headlights, and the power for those is gonna come from that distribution block. So as I'm starting to put things together, I wanted to clean up the grills on the front of the nose. The passenger side is fine, came out. The driver side, I'm gonna see, I think it will come out. Yeah, it will come out. I'll take this one out too, and then tape it and paint it. Let me show you what I did here. This is the passenger side grill. I taped it. As you can see, the silver is worn off, and according to the internet, SEM silver is as close a match to this as possible, short of having a custom paint mixed. So I'm gonna spray this, let it sit, and then take the other one out and take that one out and do that one too. And then we'll continue on. We'll start reassembly of the whole thing. Oh, one other thing I gotta do is, that's the front bumper. I'm gonna wire wheel the bumper and give it a coat of paint. And then I got some new hardware for the spoiler. Put that hardware in, maybe take the spoiler out, clean everything here, and then reassemble, and then start putting everything back in. Once those are in, then I can move to the inside, take the dash out, and continue the project. So we'll continue on. Here it is. I'll let it dry for a little bit, and then tape up the other one and paint that one, and then put it back in. Over here are the hardware for the little filler panel between the nose and the bumper. That was another one, the reason I took out the whole front end, because that needed to be replaced. I got the new one all painted and ready to go, so we'll continue with the reassembly. So both grills are painted, came up pretty good. This one here, the passenger side, the corner was broken, and there's a couple of, you can see here, a couple of them that are broken. I'm going to try to get some glue for plastic and glue those pieces, but the corner, I know what I'm going to do. As far as I know, they don't make reproductions, because I believe this is a 74 only, maybe 75, but at least it's a 74 only. And these are resting on NOS quarter panel. 1 year only, 74 quarter panel. But anyways, I'm gonna clean the nose up, and then tomorrow I'll go to the hardware store, get a plastic glue those couple of pieces, and then put the nose back on, the grills back in the nose, put the filler panel in, and then let this thing dry overnight, then give it a quick spray on the bumper part, and the reassembly begins. So at this point, I think I'm gonna try to put together the video up till now, and then I will continue in the next episode. The nose will be on, and then we'll be starting to take the inner fender well out, so I can start running the hoses into the compartment, take the dash out, and install the main unit for the AC, and then hopefully we'll wrap it up before the driving season is over. It's been a very long project. Thanks guys for watching. I'll see you in the next episode, where we're gonna continue this work. Thank you for watching again. Bye.